There's already 1,000 mods on the Steam Workshop for Afterbirth Plus. That's a lot of mods, but one of the best ones of this week? Let's find out. Hey everybody, Eddie here, welcome back to this week's episode of the weekly mod showcase for the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, the series where we go through a few of my favourite mods of the week. A couple of smaller ones this week because I've had a very busy week. I haven't quite had the time to play through like a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to do that next week. So a few smaller ones with some really cool ones in here still actually. Without further ado, let's get into the mods. So first of all, I'm going to do some quick fire little aesthetic mods. Let's go through those. Number 1, Zim's Treasure Doors Plus by Zemmoose. This is a very small one actually, and I put this in here for a specific reason. This is essentially, it changes the aesthetic of the treasure doors. That's pretty much it. But I wanted to put it in here because the creator of this mod said, the author said that they were going to be doing a whole bunch of more stuff with a whole bunch of stuff in the game, and based on how this looks so far, I think it looks pretty promising. So I wanted to put this in now, and then maybe in the future we can come back when they have like a few more. Maybe they'll make a pack and we'll be able to see like a whole bunch more stuff. For now though, Zim's Treasure Door Plus, his little shout there, it's pretty cool. Next up we have the purple title screen, just because why the fuck not, honestly. Okay, we've got a slightly bigger mod here. This one is also a work in progress. There's a few things with it so far, but they're adding more to it. Basically, it's the Better Enemy Variant Sprites by Jesse4060, and it's pretty simple, as the name would. It does what the name suggests. It's sort of an improvement, I guess. It's subjective because it's an aesthetic thing. You know, so if you like the others, you could like the original sprites more than you like these sprites. Is what I'm saying. So you might not think they're better, but it's just some slightly cooler sprites, slight variants, like the green pukey men that are just like kind of plain. They have like droopy faces now. The turrets, which are just like red versions of the grey turrets, have a bit more going on. So I'll put a list on the screen of all the sprites that he's changed so far, but I'll also put a list of the ones that he's working on currently, and he has said that he's going to be doing even more beyond this in the future. And I just think it's a really cool mod because it's another one of those where he's doing pretty good with it so far. It's very nicely drawn, the art's very nicely created, and he's working on adding some more. So if you do want to check that out, just add some slight variants in. It's a cool one because it's one of those where it's just like, it is just like a little bit of a variant thing. Like, it's not a huge deal. You can just sort of whack it on and just have it in the background and know that it's making your game slightly more interesting. Maybe prefer the original ones, or maybe you have like a full overhaul mod which would just overwrite it anyway. But it's a nice little mod. Some cool little sprites in there, and I look forward to seeing how it turns out in the future with the new sprites. Okay, now we have our challenge run of the week. We have Hostility by the Evil Pickle. This is a pretty cool one. It actually has 2 modes, a hard mode and a normal mode. Essentially what this is, the brunt of the challenge, is a lot of traps. Now, what essentially happens is it's all the way to Mom, and as you go down each floor, you lose 1 luck each floor, so you end up in the negatives, like -1 from basement 2 onwards. And essentially what happens is when you go into a room, it basically rolls everything in the room into a different thing, most likely a trap. So basically, you'll see when you start to play it that when you'll enter a room and then everything will sort of poof into something else. And I don't specifically know how luck works in terms of you know, corroboration with the traps. I don't know if it's something to do with, hey, as a poop spawned here, the worse your luck is, the more likely it's going to be a red poop, or like a fire, the more likely it'll be a red fire. I believe that's how that works. I believe that'll play into it somehow, otherwise he probably wouldn't put it in the mod. But yeah, essentially it's just a fun run with like a bunch of more traps in it. So, you know, stone faces, the red shooters, a lot more spikes, both static and pop-up spikes. And it's not an overly difficult challenge because you do play as Isaac, you don't get the D6. You do play as Isaac, and you do get item rooms and obviously boss items, and it is only to Mom. But it's just a cool one, and I like it because it's kind of like training for dodging, because you're guaranteed to have more things shooting at you from, you know, the shooty fires or the stone heads, especially as you go on and you start getting more and more and your luck starts to get less and less. So yeah, pretty cool challenge. It's called Hostility by the Evil Pickle. It's more of a fun one rather than a really difficult one, but yeah, feel free to check that out. Okay, this week's mod of the week, we have May, spelled M-E-A, as you can see on the screen, and this is actually a new character created by Lolly. This card's actually really cool. I really like this one, and I basically saw it, as soon as I saw it, I had to put it as mod of the week, just because it's. I really like that this early on, people are already going completely out of the box with stuff. because this is basically like, I mean, people may have had the ideas before the capabilities for modding and stuff were released. Before, you know, people might have already had their ideas, they might have already known Lua. But essentially, what May is she starts with 2 black hearts, and she can only take black hearts and spirit hearts. She can't take health upgrades, similar to the way that Blue Baby works. So if you do pick up a health upgrade, it'll just convert to a spirit heart. Or a black heart, actually. I think red heart health upgrades do convert to black hearts, I believe, if I recall correctly. But the main thing with her is that she has this cool tear effect, which is essentially she's a ghost and she shoots these like fiery. It's telekinesis, and she shoots these like fiery balls, and she has 4 of them rotating around her, and she shoots them in like a nice little arc. And she has they work in sort of 2 different ways. There's the normal attack where they sort of shoot in the arc, and they also have piercing effect. But every now and then she'll shoot one that's like got a much shorter range and is a much floatier. It tends to happen much more often if she's moving rather than if you stood still shooting. And what that one does is if that hits an enemy, it'll sort of essentially attach itself to them and give them sort of a curse where it'll do like damage over time to them for a bit. So it's really cool. It's just a really interesting way to play the game. It's a completely different type of effect we've not really seen before. It's a really neat idea. And obviously it has the two different things you can do with it. And there's some synergies as well, I believe. Things with like Brimstone, I don't really know how it works, but I have seen, even just on the Steam Workshop page, it shows that it does synergize with things like Jacob's Ladder, which is really cool. So there's some synergies in there as well. I believe that's also being ironed out a bit. Just generally, yeah, May is just a really cool character, mostly just because it's quite out of the box, and I quite like the creativity there. And the change that it's brought. So yeah, check out May for this week's Mod of the Week. And with that, we're going to be wrapping up this week's weekly mod showcase. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. If you did, please let me know by leaving a like. That would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for the support on the first episode. I hope you guys will continue to enjoy it as the series goes on. If you have any more suggestions for other mods you think I should check out and maybe put in this series, feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what those are. Just the name of the mod, and I'll go ahead and look it up. Like I said, sorry this week was a bit of a quicker one. I just didn't really have the time to look into stuff as much as I would have liked to. Next week, there'll probably be a couple more mods in there, and there'll probably be bigger ones as well, especially since we do have a lot of mods on there now to look through. So, yeah, but regardless, thank you for watching. Mine's Yay. Subscribe for more Isaac content. This is coming out every Saturday, as well as 3 episodes of the Let's Play every week. I'll see you next time. Peace, guys. I'm out.
Text in the place, everybody getting rainy. Punks better cup your lady, can't nobody tame me. Blame me for keeping a runny yard rainy. Ladies used to hate me, now they come and now they pay me. Girls on the job check, pocket full of sock check. Got a fat notch, so we gon' squat. Down for the block. Try to be hot, but you flop. Wanna be shot through the top, but you not. I ain't never seen so much green than when I seen when my team hit the scene. It must be a dream. Hit the stage, everybody holler. Getting thrown with the show for a bigger dollar.